A single voice, rising from a Brooklyn apartment no larger than a dream, would one day echo across every stage and screen in America. That voice belonged to Barbra Streisand, a woman who didn't just sing songs or direct films, but who rewrote the rules of fame, power, and legacy. Her story is not only about what she built with her talent, but what she endured, what she survived, and how she kept rising again and again. How does someone go from a childhood filled with grief and silence to owning a Malibu estate worth nearly $100 million, a Central Park penthouse valued at $125 million, and a reputation that demands respect across every creative industry? And deeper still, how does one hold on to their sense of self while the world tries to define them, reshape them, or tear them apart? Barbra Streisand's life didn't begin in stardom. It began in a small Brooklyn apartment, where space was tight, emotions were fragile, and comfort was hard to come by. Her father died when she was just 15 months old. A tragic mistake during a hospital visit left the family shattered. Her mother, left to raise two children alone, became emotionally distant, overwhelmed by the weight of survival. Barbra shared a room with her mother and brother, living in cramped quarters where love was often shown not through affection, but through quiet gestures like dropping off food. Her stepfather wasn't the comforting presence she might have hoped for. He was cold, and that emotional emptiness stayed with her. These early years left her with a deep longing for love, attention, and self-worth, needs that would later fuel her fire to succeed. What's remarkable is that Barbra never let that early pain stop her. Instead, it carved out a resilience that would define her entire career. She started on small nightclub stages in New York, where people didn't quite know what to make of her. She didn't look or sound like the typical star that time. But she had something more powerful than appearance. She had presence and that voice. Her breakthrough role in Funny Girl on Broadway changed everything. Audiences finally saw what she had known all along. She was different, and that difference was her strength. When Funny Girl became a movie, Barbra's determination was tested again. Studio politics, gender bias, and harsh criticism pushed her to the edge. But she didn't just survive it. She won an Oscar for it. That golden statue wasn't just for acting, it was for every time she was told no, and still moved forward. Barbra Streisand wasn't satisfied with just being a singer or actress. She wanted to direct. She wanted to produce. She wanted to create stories the way she saw them, and for a woman in Hollywood at the time, that ambition was radical. When she directed and produced Yentl, many doubted her ability. But the film became a critical and cultural landmark, and her Golden Globe win for Best Director broke barriers. She became one of the few women who could truly command a film set and deliver results. It wasn't about ego, it was about vision, about telling stories that mattered. And she did it with courage that most people couldn't even imagine. In music, Streisand became a phenomenon. She is the only artist to have had a #1 album in every decade from the 1960s to the 2000s. That's not just talent, that's adaptability, discipline, and a deep understanding of how to keep evolving without losing who you are. Her discography includes 36 studio albums, 52 gold records, 32 platinum records, and 10 Grammy Awards, not to mention the Lifetime Achievement Grammy and an Academy Award. But these trophies came at a cost. The industry was brutal, especially to a woman who refused to conform. She faced criticism that was often rooted not in her work, but in her looks, her assertiveness, or simply her refusal to play small. Through all of it, she kept creating, kept refining, and kept leading. One of the most unexpected chapters in her life was her decades-long struggle with stage fright. For 27 years, Barbra stopped performing live. For someone whose voice had become iconic, stepping back like that was a massive personal decision. But it wasn't weakness, it was self-preservation. She turned her focus toward filmmaking, activism, and personal growth. Movies like The Prince of Tides and The Mirror Has Two Faces weren't just artistic projects, they were statements of intent. Through them, she explored love, trauma, identity, and strength, all while continuing to challenge Hollywood's narrow definitions of what a woman could do. Barbra's personal life also reflected the complexity of her spirit. Her romantic relationships, from the whirlwind with Omar Sharif to the thoughtful companionship of Canadian Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau, were rarely simple. She loved deeply, but didn't lose herself in those relationships. She had brief entanglements with Don Johnson and Andre Agassi, each connection revealing different sides of who she was and what she needed. It wasn't until she met James Brolin that she found lasting peace. Their marriage became a quiet sanctuary, built not on glamour but on mutual respect and stability. It grounded her in a way that fame never could. Her role as a mother added yet another layer to her legacy. Barbra's son, Jason Gould, born during her marriage to Elliot Gould, grew up in the constant spotlight of his mother's fame. When Jason came out as gay, Barbra stood by him with unconditional love. In a time when many public figures were silent or unsupportive, she chose visibility, compassion, and pride. That same spirit extended to her blended family with Brolin, where she embraced not just a new partner but also his children, creating a fuller, richer family bound by love rather than blood. Barbra Streisand's wealth is often discussed, and yes, the numbers are staggering. Her fortune sits around $400 million. Her Malibu compound, with its peaceful koi ponds and blooming rose gardens, is worth close to $100 million. Her New York properties include a townhouse on the Upper East Side and a luxurious Central Park West penthouse. But these aren't just signs of fame. They are milestones of a life earned through relentless work. Her classic cars, from a 1962 Bentley to a 1926 Rolls-Royce, aren't just collectibles. They're symbols of the eras she lived through and mastered. Each possession tells a story. Each home carries memories of transformation, from heartbreak to healing, from rejection to reinvention. But Barbra Streisand's true legacy can't be measured in dollars or square footage. It lives in the work she's done to uplift others. In 1986, she founded the Streisand Foundation, which has granted millions to causes like environmental justice, civil rights, women's health, and LGBTQ+ advocacy. One of her most passionate missions has been supporting women's heart health. She helped establish a dedicated heart center at Cedars-Sinai in Los Angeles, pushing for equal research and treatment for women, a subject long ignored by the medical field. Her philanthropy is more than just giving money. It's about lending her voice to those who are often silenced. Unlike many celebrities whose estates end in legal turmoil, Barbra has been careful in her planning. Her son Jason is expected to inherit not just material wealth, but a creative empire, one infused with values, compassion, and vision. Her foundation will continue to give, echoing her belief that success means nothing if it's not shared. Every choice she's made, every role taken or turned down, every dollar earned or donated, speaks to a woman who has never been afraid to stand alone, speak up, or challenge the status quo. Now, in the later chapters of her life, Barbra has chosen quiet over applause. She lives mostly out of the spotlight in her Malibu home with James Brolin. Her days are filled with the simple joys of gardening, reading, and writing. She's even working on a memoir that promises to reveal more of the woman behind the legend. She doesn't crave attention the way some stars do. For her, stillness is power. Peace is success. And in that peace, she continues to live with the same dignity that has guided her from the beginning. Barbra Streisand's life is more than a string of headlines or a list of awards. It's a profound reminder of how pain can become purpose, and how being different can be the very thing that changes everything. She didn't just make her mark. She carved out a space where others could also be bold, creative, and unapologetically themselves. Her voice may have started in a small Brooklyn apartment, but it reached the world, and what it carried wasn't just melody, but meaning. If this story touched you even a little, go ahead and like the video and subscribe to the channel. There are so many more stories like Barbra's waiting to be told. Stories of strength, of grace, of people who refuse to give up no matter what. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.